I don't know whether it's intentional or anything, but I feel like this example from 300 years earlier of the Russians and the Tatars standing across each other across a river, and both armies sort of going apart, but with one side clearly having won the engagement despite no real fighting happening. Maybe Kutuzov had such thoughts in mind when he decided, rather than pursue Napoleon particularly heavily and risk further casualties to his men. And bear in mind, Kutuzov's army is not in the best of shape either. The Russian army have lost a lot of men over the course of the campaign, and he's maybe dealing with 70, 80,000 effectives right now. So he's not got a huge army. He just wants to shadow Napoleon back to where he came from, and essentially, as long as they continue going down that route, he's not going to try to press the issue too heavily.
And that is for the next episode, I think, to see whether Kutuzov, big surprise, whether Kutuzov manages to usher Napoleon out of Russia. And with that, we'd like to leave you with a little nugget to ponder, little mental nugget to ponder, a little bit of mental cake to chew over until the next episode. And that is that Marshal Murat, theoretically, could have become a Cossack at some point.
Right. So this is back when Napoleon was in Moscow, and the Russians were basically encamped to the south at Tarantino, and Miloradovich was still with the rear guard. He was stationed sort of not actually too far away from Murat, and during the time when Murat was trying to hunt for the Russian army, he found Miloradovich, and both of them, their similar personalities we talked about earlier, decided essentially still to have a bit of banter with each other, during which apparently the Cossacks, some Cossacks within the Russian army, invited Murat to become their Ataman, which would have been, I think, a rather interesting fate to ponder for the dandy king, the King of Naples, because right now, as of the time we're speaking, he is still King of Naples. He's actually not too unpopular in Naples, and he's having a lot of fun there. And there's no real reason why he would want to leave. And obviously, being one of Napoleon's greatest, if not most intelligent generals, he still wants to serve the emperor. However, as history tells us, our friend Murat comes to a rather sticky end, having jumped the gun a little after Napoleon escaped from Elba and decided to try to unite Italy,
take on the world himself,
take on the might of the Austrian army, and admittedly, sometimes that is a contradiction in terms, but at this point, the Austrians do have a lot of men, and Murat does not. And he's unsuccessful in doing so, escapes to Corsica, tries again, and yeah, gets arrested, ends up in front of a firing squad where famously he says, "Aim for the heart, but spare the face," in pure Muratian style.
That's the one.
He has to go out in style. And instead of that, what if he accepted the offer to essentially rule over a bunch of Cossacks in southern Russia? I think he would have had a pretty good time.
I think he would have, because chances are he would have spent his time hunting and doing country pursuits at his country house where he would have obviously built it, and spent the rest of his time in St. Petersburg.
Right, in Russian society, and I'm sure he would have been welcomed by the Russian court, because really Murat is, frankly, apart from Napoleon himself, Murat is the only person in the whole Grand Army whom the Russians respect.
Yeah.
That's partly due to the fact that he is just completely insane, and he's a dashing cavalry officer who goes slashing about everywhere, and much like the Russians.
And that big charge at Eylau made a big impression.
I'm sure it would have done. And so we suspect that actually Murat would have had a whale of a time in Russia, spending time in southern Russia on the open steppes, riding about with his Cossacks, and no doubt learning a thing or two about trick riding from them.
Yeah.
And or spending his time in St. Petersburg, where all the ladies are, and clearly he would have been very popular with the ladies,
probably,
as with the men.
Probably so, yeah.
Possibly in a different sense, but
we'll not make a comment on that, because I have no clue.
But
it certainly, it would seem it was if it really happened. They offered him this. It would seem that it was a strangely fateful opportunity for him.
Right. It's an interesting counterfactual, and he would have had a better fate than he did by sticking to the emperor.
Mm-hmm. Which loyally he did, and you respect him for that. But at the same, because he would have had to have. He'd have had to have put up with the bashing that Bernadotte puts up with nowadays, if he'd done that. But
this is true. I mean, Murat would have ended up as a mini Bernadotte.
Yeah.
I don't think. Maybe Alexander would have made him king of Poland first.
Yeah, maybe.
Absolute banter. He would have made him king of Poland, just to annoy all the Poles. Probably.
Maybe.
I don't know. Actually,
they might have liked it.
They might have liked it. Exactly.
It would have been a stroke of genius.
Right. Because clearly the Poles are very skilled cavalrymen in their own right. And they certainly respected and served under Murat, so why not?
It's not an implausible proposition.
And I can imagine with Alexander being the diplomat that he is, he may have could have dangled this carrot in front of.
I think so. I mean. Murat was obviously easily an impressionable guy. He was, very loyal to Napoleon. So a guy of Alexander's charisma could probably have spun him the other way.
Given how Murat did eventually sign a deal with the Allies, it's not impossible that had this state of affairs gone for a little longer, had Alexander somehow sort of ended up at the Russian camp and sort of just on the pretext of negotiating with basically said, "Hey, hey, Joachim, my friend, do you want a massive palace and
Yeah.
all of Poland? We will give you all of Poland if you join us." Who knows? He may have. He may
I
decide
were very tempting for him, I think.
really something of that, and I think would Poland have been an upgrade from Naples?
Yeah, could have been. Yeah,
Maybe, yeah, missed opportunity there
could have been.
for
But
both for the Russians, for Murat, for the Poles. You know,
yeah,
Poles ended up under the rather heavy-handed rule of Grand Duke Constantine, which they did not enjoy to any extent. So
yeah.
maybe they enjoyed.
This would have been a brighter road to have taken history down. And we invite our viewers to ponder this question themselves until the next time. And so from me and my brand new Napoleon Impressions t-shirt.
Yes, beautiful Wellington t-shirt.
Yes. I highly recommend it, and I recommend further that other people go and get in on the fun and get some merchandise themselves. We'll see you all next time.